Hi. So this is about humanistic and existential theory or school of thought. So basically about this particular school of thought, and I took a little while to talk about this one because this is one of those ways of thinking which has really interested me, and I am a big believer of whatever was said under this particular school of thought, humanistic and existential. So this is also regarded as the third force in psychology. And why is that? Because humanistic existential theory gave a very different viewpoint of human beings. They gave a very different viewpoint of how to ensure well-being of human beings. Before this, psychoanalytic and behavioral schools of thought, which were first and second forces, took a very mechanical view of human beings. However, humanistic had that humane factor. That's why the term humanistic. It had the humane factor, and they wanted to let the person, the one who's suffering, take the responsibility for his or her own healing. So they focused on the person taking their own responsibility and the importance of free will. So free will basically means that it's based on the assumption that every individual has the freedom to decide. They can very well decide if the path that they want to choose for themselves. There's no compulsion, they have the freedom to choose. And other than this, humanistic theory also focused on the here and now, that what is happening right now is important. Do not get blocked in the past, do not get too much obsessed with the thinking about future, rather focus on here and now, what is happening right now. So two important things, free will and here and now. Other than this, humanistic school of thought is basically connected with two main scholars, or the ones that you need to be concerned about: Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow. Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow are the two people who are prominently involved in this particular school of thought. Carl Rogers spoke about a fully functioning individual, a fully functioning person. So basically he said that whatever an individual does is goal directed, that whatever we do in life is always colored with a particular goal in our mind, that we have a goal that gives us the motivation to work. That's what Carl Rogers mentioned. Right now I'm focusing on Carl Rogers. So that's the first thing he said, goal directed behavior. Second, he said that all of us want to be performing to our fullest possible potential, that we want to fulfill our potential, we want to work as a fully functioning individual. Nobody likes to work in a fragmented way, that we do not like it, we do not feel comfortable if we are working in a fragmented way. We want to be there completely, we want to do things in a complete manner. As a fully functioning person, so we want to achieve our potential to the fullest possible extent. That's the second part which Rogers mentioned, fully functioning individual. A very important part has been mentioned in the notes also, like the ones that you mentioned, you shared the reading. It has been mentioned as a separate topic, fully functioning individual. Other than this, Rogers spoke about the difference between the real and the ideal self. Real self is what we are right now. Ideal is what the place or the point that we want to reach. So if there is a discrepancy between the real and the ideal self, then this discrepancy is likely to cause a lot of frustration in us. However, if both are in parity with each other, then obviously we are much more comfortable, and that will help us in us being able to reach our fullest possible potential. Other than this, Rogers mentioned about the client-centered therapy. Client-centered therapy basically is something which is, again, very much, since it, as the name suggests, client-centered, it's absolutely centered on the individual who has come for asking for help. So client-centered basically is based on certain values which is expected out of the therapist. That the therapist is supposed to be unconditional towards the client. The therapist is supposed to be empathic and not sympathetic. Empathy is basically taking a position in somebody's shoes, trying to emotionally resonate with the person, and not thinking as if ke are bichara nahi. It's like you are taking that person's position and you are thinking the way they are doing, they're thinking, they are feeling. So the therapist is supposed to be unconditional, the therapist is supposed to be empathic, the therapist is supposed to be non-judgmental, so that the client feels safe whenever he's discussing something. He should feel safe, he should feel wanted, he should feel unconditionally loved, that there are no conditions of worth that the person has to meet so as to be accepted by the therapist. So the therapist is supposed to be unconditional. So there is acceptance, there is non-judgmental attitude, there is empathy, and there is unconditional positive regard. So these are the values which basically client-centered therapy is composed of. Now let's shift focus to Maslow, Abraham Maslow. I'll be sharing another video pertaining to this just for clarity. Abraham Maslow basically gave a very famous theory which is called hierarchy of needs. So keeping this in view, there's this video which I'll share, which I had created long back, which basically showcased how people can people basically move through certain hierarchies, certain levels of needs through their lives, and that is what is important. Maslow's focus was on his hierarchy of needs, and he coined the term self-actualization. He gave the term self-actualization, and this actualization is extremely important because that's where basically we are headed to. Actualization is that ultimate need that we are headed towards. So basically we start with the lowest physiological need, which is basically our food, hunger related needs, which we accomplish. Once those are accomplished, once we feel satisfied and there's contentment, we move to another one. The second one is the safety needs. Safety needs is physical safety, mental safety. Once that is accomplished, then the third one is belongingness needs. Belongingness is that you want to belong to some group, some person, some family. You don't want to be boycotted, you want to belong. There should be kind of that contentment as to that, the fact that you are loved. Fourth is the career related self-esteem needs. So if that gets accomplished, then you are someone who can very well accomplish self-actualization also. However, if we get arrested in any specific need, the ones that I just now mentioned about, we are likely to reach in a very fragmented way. Like if supposedly I have faced problems in relationships, then a part of me has probably got arrested in the belongingness need. So if I will move forward towards self-esteem and self-actualization needs, there will be a part of me which is feeling arrested in belongingness. So I won't be able to fulfill my fullest potential, right? Because I'm not there as a complete person, if you're understanding that part. So that is what Maslow mentioned as hierarchy of needs, and that's about humanistic theory or school of thought. Now I'll be posting another video on existential theory, existential school of thought, which is majorly related to Viktor Frankl's contribution. Viktor Frankl was not originally a psychologist. He was rather a physicist, and he was also a prisoner in the Nazi camp. And this thing, that therapy that he basically gave, came out of his own experience in the Nazi camp, which was very difficult. So it's again a very interesting field, much more related to spirituality, existential therapy. So that's why this is the reason why I will be posting another video on this, because that is another very interesting school of thought. So humanistic and existential are considered together. So that's about it for this one. Take care. Bye.